you for joining us today to explore the possibilities of whole soy foods for the American palate, to actually create a healthier plate for America going forward. On behalf of the Mid-South Soybean Board in member states Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. And Louisiana, did I say Louisiana? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we really appreciate Louisiana. I just want to say welcome, and we are being joined today across the country. There are 15 states, Catherine, that are represented, from California to DC, from Michigan to Louisiana and Texas, and we're just so excited that you're going to go on this journey with us. Joining me in the studio today is Chef Catherine from the Culinary Institute, and we've been excited about this day to share all this with you.
Good morning, everyone.
So what has it been like for you to go down this road with these students, Catherine?
It has been probably one of the best experiences that I've had. Challenging young student chefs to develop recipes and an unfamiliar product to them, a product that they've never even considered utilizing in their dishes, and to see them go from an idea to a plate. Phenomenal experience.
Well, it was for me. This is not your grandmother's tofu. That's a warning label on this. This whole experience has been made possible through a collaborative partnership between the Mid-South Soybean Board, the UAPTC Culinary Arts Institute, and B&B Legacy Farms. We're broadcasting today, like I said, from the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture Cooperative Extension Service, and I want to say a shout out to our partners, the Soybean Science Challenge, who have been working with B&B for about the last 4 or 5 years for educational outreach. And we just so appreciate your support in this broadcast. So the 2023 Soy Chef competition, we learned during the midst of producing it, is the first culinary competition in the U.S. with the focus simply on whole soybeans. Now, we all know that soy is an ancient food. So why soy? And what is it about soy that deserves this kind of a focus? Well, it's a complete protein, and it's sustainable, and it is a package that really has no comparison. But as ancient as this soy food is, we've been consuming it around the world for over 3,000 years. It really has never been a main entity on the plate in America. It's never really had a leading role. It was a health problem for myself personally that triggered my interest in research in exploring what whole soy could do for my health condition and others. Soybeans have been referred to historically, I learned this after doing research, the meat of the field. So we've actually known, but do we know how to cook it? And I found that I struggled with that and began research and development in that direction. That research led me to meet a dietitian, Miss Mandy Smith, who opened my understanding even further about the importance of soy in my diet. Now, one of the things we discovered is that it can be confusing if you just Google whole soy foods. So it's really important that we really have research-based information to understand this food and how to possibly incorporate it into our diet and what that incorporation can mean for us individually and as a country. So Mandy's culinary education with students was a bit interesting to me and a bit unusual, I think, in a culinary institute. They started in the field with the students. So I've asked Mandy to join us this morning and tell you about what her educational strategy was and how she started this journey as we plowed new ground in the whole soy food environment together. So why so much emphasis on soy? Why soy? Many of you have asked me that know me. So I want to ask Mandy to share her professional and personal perspective on that. So why soy, Mandy?
Thanks, Karen. Why soy? That is a great question. Soy is packed with so much nutrition. Whole soybeans are rich in protein and iron. The protein contains all 9 essential amino acids. So it's a complete protein. You don't have to add anything to it. Your body thinks you're eating a piece of meat when you're eating soy. So that's really good. It's low in saturated fat. Soy is also high in fiber. It has phytochemicals that we'll talk about later that help the health of the body. It's also cholesterol free. So those are all good reasons why we need to include soy in our diet, because soy is packed with nutrition. When you think about whole soy foods, a whole food just means that it's minimally processed. And so a whole soy food, an example would be edamame, tofu would be an example. Tofu is just bean curd. It's just pressed soybean. When tofu is made, calcium is used to help to make it. And so tofu is also a source of calcium in the diet. Tofu kind of has a bad rap because not very many people know what to do with tofu. But if you would just imagine tofu being like a plant-based source of protein. Diet-related disease is a real problem in the country that we live in. Adding soy to a healthy diet can help fight the #1 killer of Americans, which is heart disease. It can also help to fight cancer, and it can also help to fight type 2 diabetes. There are 3 types of isoflavones in soy products, in soy. These are also known as phytoestrogens. They're also known as phytochemicals. And these are the nutrients found in soy that help to fight heart disease, help to fight cancer, help to fight type 2 diabetes. So it's really these phytochemicals that are found in soy that are unique to soy that are an important part of a healthy diet and an important part of preventing disease. Isoflavones are associated with decreasing heart disease risk because they help to lower total cholesterol, lower LDL cholesterol levels in the blood. They help to increase HDL cholesterol, which is our good cholesterol, and they help to improve vascular function in the whole cardiovascular system. So these are some of the reasons that soy products and soy in the diet are very important to fighting heart disease. Regular consumption of soy products and soy foods in healthy adult populations helps to reduce both breast cancer risk and prostate cancer risk because of these isoflavones in the soy, these phytochemicals, these phytoestrogens. It helps to fight the disease in healthy adults. Getting into the habit of regularly consuming soy products in your diet can help to fight type 2 diabetes. And the way this works, soy helps to decrease postprandial hyperglycemia. So that means when your blood sugar goes up after you eat, so there's less of a blood sugar rise after eating if you're eating soy products with your meal or soy with your meal. Soy helps to improve glucose tolerance, and it also helps to decrease the hemoglobin A1C in the blood. Hemoglobin A1C will tell you what your blood sugar's been for the past 3 months. And so having soy in your diet on a regular basis helps to decrease this hemoglobin A1C, which is a good thing for the body. So how much soy should a person eat? Depending on the goal, of course. If you're trying to fight heart disease and lower blood cholesterol, then you need to have about 25 grams of soy protein a day. So a serving of soy protein, so this would be edamame, soy milk, tofu, has about 6.25 grams per serving. So this would mean about 4 servings per day if you're trying to use soy to help you to lower blood cholesterol. So that, of course, can be overwhelming at first if you've never used soy in your diet, if you've never eaten tofu, if you've never drank soy milk. But adding any sort of soy product to your diet slowly, a little bit more every day, a little bit more every week, every month, every year, can help you to fight heart disease. So there's really not a too little or a too much amount of soy that you could have in your diet. Okay, so why did I want to plant soybeans in our kitchen garden at the culinary school? It's very important for me when I was teaching the healthy foods class to the chefs for them to understand how food grows, where it comes from, and sometimes that's as simple as planting a seed in the dirt. Also, I think it's really important for chefs in Arkansas to include food items that can be grown in Arkansas. I think that's really important. I think the local agriculture, the local farming community, the local food movement, if you will, is really important to the health of Arkansans. It's really important for chefs to know that and to be aware of that and to try for that when they're planning their menus. When we keep our food money in our local economy, it grows our local economy. And so that's important for chefs to understand. When you put food on your menu that you can grow in the state of Arkansas, it helps everyone.
You're also, we consider, a partner in this field trip. It's a participatory sport, field trips are. And so we did a little poll, and we'd like to look at the results of what your experience is. And so we ask you first, just what soy foods have you eaten? And it looks like, Catherine, that edamame is at the head of the pack. I'm a little surprised, and then soy milk follows to a close second, and then tofu.
I'm surprised about tempeh. Like, that's one soy product that I have only had one time. Not the biggest fan of it, but it's something that's grown on me with flavor development.
Well, and cooked dry soybeans, that to me is very encouraging, because when we talk about whole soy foods, most folks don't even know. Well, I didn't know. I grew up in the Delta, the Arkansas Delta in Poinsett County, surrounded by soybeans, but we never ate them. And this is kind of a recent experience for me. And so I'm encouraged that maybe I was the exception and not the rule. That's a good thing, because the whole soybean is at the most nutritious level. So that is, and obviously tofu with the calcium added for processing just is an enriched product. So interesting. Thank you so much. And let's look at the next question about how often you eat it.
I'm surprised about the 11% daily consumption of soy products.
Well, and that's encouraging, because that used to not be the case. So what that tells me is that probably our sample is skewed. I have a feeling that folks that are joining us right now, this is not the standard response, but it looks to me like the biggest response is occasionally, which is, and then what I see in other data and trends is that this is increasing primarily because folks are coming to terms with, and the healthcare community is advancing, the value of whole soy foods in the diet for health benefits and also to mitigate health problems. So awesome. Thank you so much for adding to our understanding and sharing with each other. So the challenge for us in really looking at talking with student chefs is, like you said, Catherine, earlier, is that these chefs had to learn how to cook soybeans to start with, and as I did. And so we explained to the students right out of the gate that we were wanting them to go on an adventure with us. And research, the purpose of research is discovery, is to learn new things. And so this was not your cooking contest. This was not we acknowledged at the very beginning that you're going to have to do research and development. This is not going to be something that you just pull from the internet. And I think that we all learned a lot from this. I know I did. So Catherine, are you ready to help us navigate the kitchen with the students? I think you're going to be amazed.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go to the kitchen. One of the things that I think is interesting is that the chefs in this competition were given 4 different varieties of soybeans to work with. A small yellow natto, a black soybean, a large dry edamame variety, and then a medium yellow roasted soybean. And we see right here, what is going on here, Catherine?
So she is packing her tarlettes with her whole soybeans, and it's so interesting to see the students go from a bag of beans that they have no idea how to utilize them in a dish to creating interesting and delicious dishes.
And also to incorporate those dishes with the American palate.
Yes.
So it's like, what would you eat normally? What kind of food do you like? Make it with whole soy. How can you make it with whole soy so that you bump up that nutrition? And what's she doing there?
She's frying her tortillas that she has for her tostadas. Plating her guacamole, delicious, fresh ingredients.
So what's the importance of plating in this?
I think every good chef knows that you eat with your eyes first.
And what's she putting on?
She is putting a fermented soybean sprout.
And what is that in that little tartlet?
It is a soy lemon curd.
It's not something that I whip up in my kitchen every day. That is beautiful. And she's got those little yellow roasted soybeans on top.
Yes, I love the utilization of fresh ingredients. It really just spikes the palate.
So she's got layers of soybean. So what are we doing here?
So she is going over and she's about to roast her whole mushrooms. She's going to add a soybean oil to them.
And so we're moving down the road on this plating for these tostadas. And you can see it looks like there's black soybeans in there as well.
Yes, I believe she used 3 varieties of soybeans in her dish.
Amazing. So again, both these dishes that we see, because they're using the whole bean, could be entrees.
Oh, absolutely.
So what was this discovery like for these students?
I think it was the students going over and taking a bean that they had no idea how to use and making it into something that they would eat themselves. Like, I questioned them often. I was like, what do you enjoy eating? The student enjoyed eating like burgers. She has a young daughter, and she was thinking, how can I make a dish that my 6-year-old will eat and enjoy?
Which is exactly what we challenged them to do. That is beautiful. So those are pickled
Red onions.
Red onions on top.
Yes.
There's lots of layers in that dish. And this is getting ready for the judges, I suppose. And here they come. We had amazing judges. And the other thing that I loved about our judges panel.
A spicy black bean tostada,
I like that song.
corn and black soybeans in it. We have guacamole and we have pickled soybean sauce. Thank you.
Like I was saying, what I loved about our judges panel was just like our participants today, it was very diverse. We had a plant pathologist, researcher, soybean breeder. We had 2 chefs in restaurant owners.
Tell me what step you're working on now.
I am stuffing the mushrooms with my black bean mixture. It's got onion, celery, and a few spices to help. They're coated in soybean oil as well, and they'll be topped with crunchy soybeans, roasted soybeans with breadcrumbs. They hopefully have a red wine sauce as well.
Is there a significance to the different size mushrooms?
It's going to be how I plate them. I'm going to put 1 big mushroom and 2 smaller mushrooms. But they're going to hopefully not take too long to brown on top before plating.
And voila. So I was saying about the judges, we also had a school nutrition director, which is amazing.
How long did it take to make?
It's actually longer than if we do it regular, like 90 minutes, it's enough time, but it's kind of rushy. You can rest the tartlet for 1 hour, but since in the competition it's 90 minutes, I probably rest it around 30 minutes. So probably around an hour, an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Okay, do you know how much it costs per portion?
Per portion, probably around like $10, but probably increase more the size of the portion.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I know $10 seems like a lot of money, but the student is also taking into compensation of what tools were utilized for the dish itself.
But if that were served in a restaurant, that probably
They
would not.
made
No.
stuffed mushrooms with black soybeans. They have onions and celery with them as well. And our sauce here is a red wine sauce.
So on to the entrees. Now, we've got some interesting entrees here.
This was competitive. Those students really had to fight to win. We've got our students utilizing nutritional yeast, setting up their mise en place, preparing to marinate their tofu for their dishes, creating a seasoning blend.
I'm washing the vegetables fresh, it looks like.
Oh, absolutely. A portion of culinary competitions is staying in alignment with sanitation.
I love seeing those black soybeans in that pot.
I love that the student was able to take away with so much from practicing with their soybeans and creating their dishes and learning how to utilize the whole soy. The student chef is creating his marinade.
Now, and what is he doing there?
He's prepping his garnishes for his dish. He's wanting to get that out of the way. He's letting his fryers heat up. He started off the morning, I told him to turn his fryers on, and he completely forgot to turn his fryers on. It's the stress of a competition. The student is going over and using a RoboCube to macerate her whole soybeans that she's been boiling, folding in her spices.
I don't think I've ever macerated a soybean. That's a new word for me.
If you're at home, you're using a blender.
And here's my old friend, my new friend, tofu. It's not an old friend, it is a new friend.
Yeah, so he's cutting his tofu in sizable portions. One thing that we teach at the culinary school is if you're going to make a sandwich and you're going to bite into it, you don't want them to unhinge their jaw.
What is this?
Those are her black bean patties that she's going to utilize on her sliders. She's going to oven roast them.
And what's Dylan down here?
He's boiling his vegan mac noodles for his vegan mac and cheese that he used soy milk for with.
Lots of ingredients.
Yes, he went out of his way to create a Chick-fil-A sauce for his sandwich. He used veganese, he researched all the ingredients for it, tasted it multiple times, and then started adding his own seasoning and spices. And it was so funny, while people were tasting it, they were like, this tastes exactly like Chick-fil-A sauce.
Right
was
now,
his
I'm
goal.
prepping my potatoes
Let's peek over his
for
shoulder.
the French fries. I'm doing sea salt and malt vinegar fries for my poutine. And then I'm gonna get them in this water over here in a second. And then I'm gonna start working on my gravy. My batter right here, it's my batter station. Doing a very similar, just British inspired. We got just flour, cornstarch. I'm not old enough to get beer, so we got ginger ale and a little bit of malt vinegar for flavor.
I'm making a different red wine sauce for my mushrooms. And I'm sauteing some onions. I got my broth there for finishing my sauce. Add a little more flavor to it. And then I'm going to strain out these onions.
The amount of techniques that the students have learned in the culinary school and seeing them reflect it in their dishes during a competition is so inspiring for me as a chef that was co-hosting this competition. I love the utilization of fresh ingredients.
Now, y'all have some secrets working with tofu.
Yes, absolutely. So with tofu, you want it to absorb the marinade. So the students are going over and they're pressing it with paper towels in
Dressing up some lemons
between.
for my plating. just to keep everything nice and fresh. Everything just a nice little note of citrus. And then I got my batter done over there. Sorry, it's foaming up all crazy.
That's a serious oven.
It's a convection oven. She just pulled it out. She's checking the temperature of her patties.
They're holding their shape, luckily. That was my only worry.
Right now, we're whisking up my batter right now, which is thyme, black pepper, garlic, some cayenne, some salt, ginger ale, and then flour, even parts flour and cornstarch, just to give it nice and crisp. And then this actually incorporates more air into your batter, so you get a lot lighter, fluffier, you get more of that British crisp on the front.
So now, did I hear that you also froze the tofu?
So Cooper froze his tofu. Dylan did not. He utilized fresh tofu, but he had pressed the moisture out of it to allow the tofu to absorb his marinade.
While I work on the rest of my things. One thing I'll put it in the oven that's not on to hold my temperature without overheating.
Onions and butter, we're gonna let them cook down for a little bit. It'll translucent. We're gonna add our flour to make our roux. Go in with our soy milk, which is just over there, just got strained out, and then make a white gravy for our poutine. Here's the current
So they
plan.
made their own soy milk.
Yes, they did. They had soaked their beans for one day whenever they were practicing, and they learned that that wasn't enough, and they started soaking them longer to develop more of the flavor. And a pinch of vanilla really does the trick.
Okay. I've not tried that. I have made soy milk.
He's using a 3 batter step process.
3. Yeah, I was looking at his recipe and wondering about that. So it's 3 steps.
So he's going dry, he's going wet, he's going dry again, and that's going to create a crispy crunch. And it's also going to help that tofu and the batter around it stick to it while it's frying.
Beautiful bread. So these are the sliders. She's getting the sliders ready.
Yes, she is. She's going to toast them in the oven.
So I added my flour to make my roux. I added some of my seasonings, same seasonings I use in that fish fry batter, and then just the rest of that soy milk into it, just to make it nice and thick and milky. And yeah, we're now rocking with the gravy.
That is a wonderful thing I've learned as a Southern cook, that soy milk makes awesome gravy.
Yes, it does.
That might not be the healthiest version of the soy food, but it is good.
Well, it's an option for people who can't consume
Dairy.
whole
Yeah, which I can't. So, yeah, actually, there are over 50% of the population that are dairy intolerant or have a dairy allergy. So it's a big issue in having great food.
I think that's the point of chefs, is for us to go over and give more options to people who are eating. You just can't feed the people who can consume dairy. Everybody needs to eat.
Yeah.
And they need to eat food that they want, like fish and chips made out of tofu. Like, how do you go from a bean to that idea?
Yeah, soy is the most versatile plant that there is. I mean, it's crazy that it's shelf stable. Now let's get back to her. What is this? This looks amazing.
So she has pulled her patties out of the oven. She toasted her buns. She melted her cheese.
Some nice looking blades.
Oh, appreciate it. Grandma got them for me.
So he's going to use a
How do you
twice
tell
fry
when it's ready?
method.
It'll make a lot of noise and we'll be happy.
So we're getting that vegan macaroni and cheese ready.
Yes, it looks like he just finished his noodles. He's putting it in a hotel pan. Cooper's pulling his fries out. And these students are racing against a clock while they're doing this. Like, they look calm.
I think they're speeding up. There you are. I see you in the background.
I'm just the hype girl for the students. I didn't want them to be stressed in a situation where they're developing recipes. I wanted them to be happy the entire time and proud of what they're creating. And I love seeing students plate.
That is beautiful.
Beautiful reduction. Caramelized onions. I'm a sucker for caramelized onions on anything.
And this is, you know, everything I hope this competition would be to really see how we can connect whole soy to the American palate. And these students did a great job. It's amazing.
It's not only the job that they did, a lot of these students, it was their first time ever competing in a competition. This is something they're unfamiliar with. They're unfamiliar with competition, and then they know nothing about soybeans a couple of months ago.
And then you have those judges lurking in the background. Watching every move. Now, Catherine and I were in and out of this kitchen this whole time, and these young people did amazing under pressure.
Oh, not only that, they have everybody watching from the outside,
Yes.
additionally.
We had full viewing windows, and yes. And obviously there was a videographer in their face a lot of the time.
I was just about to say, you can't see the cameraman, but these students are plating. He is putting his soy milk gravy on top of his french fries. A lot of times you don't see poutine on fish and chips, but I told the student that he needed to elevate his dish. I was like, how can we add one more soy product onto it? Don't stop at tofu.
I think you were successful, Chef Catherine, in challenging and encouraging and nurturing creativity here.
This moment right here, when they put their plates on the station,
It's a beautiful creator. It's really striking.
There's those judges lurking
Made
again.
buns.
It looks like Dylan's getting ready to plate.
I think the students are so calm while they're cooking, but once they put the plates on the table for the judges, it's like a breath of fresh air that's followed up with stress, because you don't want to stumble over your words while you're speaking to the judges. You don't want to accidentally not state an ingredient that you used. I love seeing the students use like a systematic order for their plating. Step at a time. So one of our chefs at the culinary school, he actually has decided to add that to his lunch service menu.
Soy milk white gravy, and then some smoked.
One thing that we always teach our students is anything is a tool. He is using a portion cup for a garnish on his plate. That is incredibly creative, and seeing them come up with these ideas in the midst of the competition. You make the food, you plate the food, and then you think, how can I elevate the food?
You want to turn them? You need to wipe them.
And when you think about beautiful. When you think about what Mandy was sharing earlier about the servings, getting enough servings in our daily diet, when you look at what these students did, you see how someone could get 4 servings of soy, whole soy into their diet easily, actually. You just gotta rethink soy.
Banana rum ice cream, and
On to the
I'm gonna try and
desserts.
get that in the fridge as soon as humanly possible.
Banana rum ice cream.
When you make ice cream, you have to temper the egg yolks. So we mix it like this, warm up the cream, and slowly pour it in.
I'm working on my cottage for my cream puffs.
Now, what is she working on? What is she? Or fettuccine? Or what?
Pâte-à-choux.
Pâte-à-choux. That's a new word, too.
And it is not spelled how it's pronounced. It's French. So it's a puff pastry that is baked off in the oven, and she milled her own soybeans to make soybean flour.
You're kidding.
Yes, she went above and beyond to figure out how she could incorporate soy into so many different aspects of her dish.
I really appreciate what I know is going the extra mile, extra 10 miles to support these students and not just using soy as as a product, but actually creating the soy. So, teaching them how to cook soy into a vegetable, to make their own soy milk, to mill their own soybeans. That's
I'm just
amazing.
measuring out the strawberries because I'm gonna make a coulis, a raspberry and strawberry coulis. So I'm just measuring out my strawberries so I can have the right weight. So that way when the competition starts, I have the correct yield, and it's just fast. I don't have to waste time measuring it out.
Great. Thank you.
She looks like she's getting a little nervous now.
She's a tad bit nervous. She's holding her custard base.
The time is clicking.
Janae is making a crumble to go on her dish. She actually talked to the Central Arkansas Pastry Chef of the Year to add that to her dish. She milled her own soybean flour as well. I love when students use fresh herbs as garnishes.
Now what's he doing there? Hitting it.
Oh, he's breaking it open and he's like allowing the essential oils of the mint to be released. You want that fragrance whenever you eat. You taste with your eyes first, and then you taste with your scent, and then finally it hits your palate. She's spreading out her soy flour crumble to bake it off in the oven so it's crispy.
Soybeans?
Yes. I'm starting the
So
banana
happy they
cake,
got the footage of her
which
blending it.
requires all the dry ingredients put together and all the wet ingredients and then mixed and baked.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we have this opportunity to broadcast this virtual field trip, because it was magical to watch this firsthand, and we just had to capture this.
It's called a crackling. It gives the cream puff a nice brown sugar flavor, and also gives it a crackling appearance.
Right now I'm adding the sugar and the water to my fruit, my fresh fruit, to make a coulis. And what the sugar and the water does is it allows the juices to come out of the fruit. So yeah, I'm making that coulis at the same time I'm making my panna cotta.
That's what it means.
I think my favorite question that any of the students asked while they were preparing for the competition and developing the recipes was just like, Chef, how do I win? Like, what do I do? And I'm just like, soybeans, soybeans, soybeans. As much as you can, incorporate it into your dish. That's what the judges are going to want to see. That's the purpose of this competition, is how can we make food taste
Most
good?
cakes are done very delicately. This one's more of similar to a dump cake, so you don't have to worry about being super delicate with the batter. You don't have any egg whites in it that's going to deflate. So it's basically just like the quick mixing method is what it's called. The sour cream and the peanut butter help retain the moisture in it, along with helping that soy flavor just a little bit. Considering I have soy milk and soy flour in here.
And slightly here in the background, the students using proper kitchen terms like hot doors. They're communicating with each other
Alright, so I
there.
crushed up 2 Biscoff cookies because it's going to be part of the flavor profile of my panna cotta. So I'm just crushing it up so it can easily dissolve inside the panna cotta once the soy milk and the cream are ready. And I'm going to add in this lemon extract and the vanilla extract, and then hit it with the gelatin once the cream is ready.
Nice.
Making soy milk.
And to think she made that within 90 minutes of the competition and still
that's
competed,
amazing. That is
or
amazing.
still plated.
I think it takes me a little bit longer than that. That's amazing. And people wonder how you make soy milk. You just saw it. It's easy.
And that student had never made soy milk before.
Well, this looks yummy.
Oh, delicious. And I love how she utilized an easy mixing method. Whenever it comes to baking, there are so many complicated ways that you can mess up a recipe by not folding properly, and it's more of like a dump process. And seeing them create dishes that can be replicated at home and not in a professional kitchen. They're in the professional kitchen. But
That's something we can do.
take it home.
That's wonderful.
That's the
And a
purpose.
caramel sauce for my filling.
So this student made a caramel sauce with soy milk.
Caramel. Not caramel, I'm sorry. Heavy cream.
Oh no, I stand corrected. She had come to me multiple times talking about how she had messed up her caramel adding soy milk to it. It is not an easy process.
Well, and that's what, this research is so
Adding that little bit
important
at a time so I make sure that it
because I have dairy
gets
allergies
whisked
now.
in
I
and
can't
doesn't
use
clump
dairy.
up.
It's not an option. And so learning the process, learning what works, what doesn't work, it's not all good or all bad. It's how do we use it to create wonderful food.
I'm not a lefty, so that's why I'm going so
Gotcha.
cautiously. I really didn't end up with that much raspberry, but that's okay because I just need the majority strawberry.
Removing of the.
Air bubbles.
Yes.
So she's not wanting air bubbles in her finished product. She's using a silicone mold, so she is scooping those air bubbles off so it's not in her final product. She's really going out of her way to impress the judges.
And soy milk naturally foams. So yeah, that's what a credit to her.
Especially like straining it through a cheesecloth right before she cooks it on the stove. She's getting so many air bubbles in it and pulling it off.
Thinner consistency. You want the chunks big enough so they can taste them, but not like a powder. I learned that using a whisk, it just kind of gives you that perfect size. And you do it throughout the cooking process, and they get smaller and smaller at a time. Well, banana and chocolate is a very common pairing, but it also creates very strong flavors. And you can always add coffee or banana like I did, and it makes an even stronger flavor. That soy flavor isn't exactly the most delicate. That's probably why it throws most people off, is because it doesn't taste quite the same as anything else. So this way you have that flavor covered up just a little bit, so it's a lot more appetizing to most people.
Imagine that you don't like the taste of soy products and you end up walking away with $500 after developing the flavor.
Well, I think she was right. I mean, soy does not smell like other beans when they're being cooked. That's my experience. And I think that was one of the things that people struggle with, is that it's not like any other bean. It's better.
Yeah.
And so it's how do we incorporate it in our American diet to have all that nutrition with its character. It's the character of soy. It's got more structure. The other thing about having that structure is, that I discovered by just trial and error, is that because it's got such a high protein percentage, it actually can freeze. I cooked too much soy in my experiments one weekend, threw them in the freezer and thought, well, I'm gonna have to just throw that out. But when I brought them out, they still had their structure, so I could use them on salads, put them in soups, and that was a red letter day for me, understanding that I could freeze soybeans. That was the convenience factor, because it takes longer to cook soybeans as well for a dry bean. It was a great day for me. Now this is amazing. This is so beautiful. What is that? What is she doing?
So she tempered her chocolate and she's making her garnish. So whenever you're working with chocolate, you just can't melt it and then put it on a tray and create a garnish. You have to raise the temperature of it, you have to lower the temperature, and then you have to get to the working temperature.
Now what is this?
She's using a blowtorch to flambe her banana saucer that she's putting on top of her chocolate cake.
But I think they'll definitely be pretty good.
And that chocolate cake was made with soy flour, and she was a little nervous talking to the judges and completely forgot to mention that to them. It was listed in her recipe packet.
A lot going on in that kitchen.
How is it?
Could use a little bit more sugar.
Need a little more sugar? Doesn't everything.
Student is making a chantilly cream to garnish his panna cotta with.
The chantilly cream.
Yes, whipped cream confectioner sugar. Fancy name for something so simple. Looks good on a menu. The student created 3 different sauces to pair with her soy milk pudding. She's preparing all of her bottles so that once she plates, she can garnish them. I think a lot of students were surprised at whenever they made their sauces, the amount of seeds that are in berries, and as some of them didn't expect to not have as much yield. The student is stuffing her cream puffs with the 3 sauces that she created to go inside of them. The culinary school is so impressed with the way that she decided to plate, like cutting the top and inverting it on top of the cream puff for her trio. I remember seeing her in the kitchen. She's like, this needs to be elevated, and I'm just like, do something different with it. And I come back a few minutes later and she just cut the top off of it and flipped it.
So she made that decision in the kitchen?
She made that decision in the kitchen. She was on campus every single day before the competition started.
Well, I remember going there the day before and setting up the activity the day before the competition, and students scurrying around and testing, and it was palatable. It was exciting.
She's using a caramel sauce to garnish her plate. Toasted pistachios on top of her cream puffs. There's 3 different flavors of cream puffs.
And that's a soy milk cream puff flight, I believe was the title of her recipe.
Yes, and the cream puffs, instead of using all-purpose flour, she used soybean flour that she had milled herself.
Now, I was standing by while he was trying to plate this one student, and it was a little nerve-wracking because you do all those steps that he did, and it doesn't come out. It's like I felt my heart just skipped a beat for this
So
student.
you can knock it off the
You can
plate?
see
Yeah, it'll loosen
it
up.
was like, oh, you kidding
Just
me?
stuck on the top right there.
Takeaway that the
He's
student
very
got from this
resourceful.
competition.
He's very resourceful. He got it done. He got the job done. And here's that cake coming into those plates.
I loved all the components that the student had added to their dish. And this student, like, routinely would talk about how they did not like the flavor of soy. She went out of her way to develop her recipe in a fashion to where she would enjoy it herself. And I think that was one of the biggest contributions that this competition had to the students, is taking something they don't like, that's awesome to consume, good for you, and making you enjoy it. Like, that's what we want. Also, the utilization of fresh produce and fresh berries and desserts. I think Mandy Smith would be impressed.
You couldn't walk away from this competition and not be so impressed. And, you know, it does take study if you want to incorporate whole soy foods because of, you know, the soy milk does bake better than any other plant-based milk because of its high healthy oil content. And I've taken my Southern recipes and compared them as far as doing a nutritional profile in my research, and to not have cholesterol in these dishes. If you use soy sour cream, soy cream cheese, soy ricotta, it's amazing. It's a fraction or no cholesterol, almost no saturated fat, but you still have stuff that looks like that, and it's delicious.
Oh, not only that, it froths better than other plant-based milks. You can't make a cappuccino with almond milk, but you can make a cappuccino with soy milk.
And soy is so sustainable. I mean, it's one of the most sustainable plant-based products. And we grow it all around the country, so because of that, it can be a local food. It is a local food
6
for a lot of
strawberries
people.
on every plate, 3 raspberries
We don't
on
have
every
the
plate, 4
transportation.
blueberries on every plate.
And that's precision.
It's focus and being calm the ententire time. You're not nervous until you're talking to the judges.
That's beautiful. He looks happy.
The raspberry strawberry coulis on the top, assorted berries for garnish, and
Now what's she doing?
So she's plating her dish and she's adding a crumble and her sauces to it. So there's little wells in the mold that she had made, and each one of the soy milk puddings had a different sauce.
You're a little happy back there. A little proud of your student.
I'm proud of my student, but it's also like my student and her friends just hyping her up while she's competing. And this student, she's competing against students that are in advanced pastry techniques. And she's only taken baking 1.
She's going to do great. She's already doing great.
I love seeing that.
You know, I expected good things from y'all and your students. I didn't expect that sheer joy, and I didn't expect the depth and breadth of the dishes that were created across the plate, from the appetizers to the entrees to the desserts. And I just feel like we truly are plowing new ground for America. You know, it is challenging the rate of diet-related diseases that our country is struggling with, and soy is growing all around us. We just don't know how to create what you created, what your student research created. And so thank you. I want to thank you and give you a high five because, and this is, you now see why we wanted to share this with you. But I know that we all agree that all these students were amazing. The next thing is, should we just jump to the big finish and see who won?
Well, absolutely. I think
Okay.
we should. Let's see who gets the money.
That's the important part.
So we have the appetizer section. We had 3 students to compete in our appetizer section. So I'd like you to stand up when I call your name. Elizabeth, she did an amuse soybean tartlet with a sauce, by the way, that was phenomenal.
Georgia Daniel, she did soybean stuffed mushrooms, which were delicious.
Cassidy Perry, spiced black bean tostadas. I got to witness that practice Wednesday night and taste parts of it.
Cassidy would like knock on my door while I was in the middle of like teaching classes, and she'd bring me some Tupperware and she would be like, "Hey, or taste this." So it's awesome. All right. Oh, I have to announce this one. Dylan the Machine Cruz. That middle name is fake. He did his mock better than Chick-fil-A sandwich with his vegan mac and cheese.
Cooper, tofu fish and chips. By the way, one of our instructors here tasted that, and I think they may wind up featuring that in Le Culinaire. That was amazing.
Georgia Daniel, again, black bean soybean sliders.
Cassidy Perry, for our desserts competition, we had 4 students. Cassidy Perry with her Twisted Bananas Foster.
Creighton Ward with her soy milk cream puff trio.
Shania Richardson, soy milk pudding trio.
And finally, Lewis Cummings with his soy panna cotta.
I'm going to ask Mandy Smith to join me and to actually present the checks to the students. We'll get that later. Okay, the winner, the silver medal winner, we have a medal for each winner, 3 silver and a gold, and we also have a gift bag that we'll give you when we give you the check. You notice we only have 3 gift bags, not 4. That's because one of you is an overall winner. So we'll give you the gift bags after this and the checks, the real checks. So the winner for the appetizer, the silver medal for the appetizer is Cassidy Perry. The winner for the entree is Dylan Cruz. And the silver medalist for desserts is Creighton Ward. Each one of our silver medalists will receive a $500 prize. Out of the 3 silver medalists, 1 Soy Chef 2023 was selected, and that person will receive a $1,000 award. Wow. The 2023 Soy Chef Gold Medal Award goes to Dylan Cruz. I want to close with turning it over to Mandy Smith. I've asked that she do the final comments because she's the mama of this, and a fine mama she is. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. What a great day we had, right? There's been a lot that's gone into this. And I don't know if any of you are in the room that actually helped plant the seeds in the dirt in April. A few of you. So if you haven't seen the kitchen garden with the soybeans, make sure you see that before you leave. So I have a quote from a really cool dietitian named Amanda Archibald. She spoke here once upon a time. But she is so cool. She's a visionary. But this is what she says: you have to put good food in people's mouths to open their ears. So think about that. That is what we've done today. Okay? Everything that I tasted, and so I had to end with the judges, so I got to taste everything. But everything that I taste today, including the tasting menu that catering set up, the catering set up, was fabulous and amazing and very creative and imaginative and on the cutting edge, really. Okay, plant-based protein is the future, to quote another great chef, Alicia Watson. Which she's really the one that introduced me as a dietitian to let's focus on plant-based protein, okay? Because I'd always taught people, and I've been a dietitian for 27 years, I'd always taught people we gotta eat more fruits and vegetables, we gotta eat more fruits and vegetables, we gotta eat more fruits and vegetables, right? Well, there's not much protein in fruits and vegetables until you get to soy. Soy is a vegetable, has all 9 essential amino acids. It's a complete protein that we can put on the plate in lots of different ways. Appetizer, entree, dessert, a dressing, if y'all tasted the sour cream, oh my word. All kinds of stuff, right, that we can do. So that's really important for the future, for you young chefs learning. It's really important just to take that forward and keep soy on the plate, okay? Keep plant protein on the plate. Continue to build your menu around plant-based protein because that's really important. It's sustainable. It's good for the body. It's good for the health of the human body. It's good for the health of the planet. It's good for us, okay? And we grow soy in Arkansas. So that means it's going to be good for the economy of Arkansas, right? So there's so hope, you know, Dr. Karen talked about how today gives her hope, and most definitely. When I started on the faculty in 2018 at the culinary school, there was not a lab with the healthy foods class. And so Chef Alicia came on board and we developed a lab to go with the healthy foods class. And we decided that in that lab we were just going to use plant-based protein. And it served us well, and it served the students well, also. So going forward, each one of you has the opportunity to teach people about soy when you put it on your menu. Okay? When you put it on your menu, which goes back to you have to put good food in people's mouths to open their ears. Right?
I so appreciate Mandy's wisdom and leadership in charting this course for us and these students. And Chef Catherine, I can't thank you enough, because the heart and the soul and the nurturing that you provided these students in this uncharted territory was beautiful to watch. And I thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank Mandy Smith. Mandy Smith has influenced so many young chefs in the state of Arkansas to think outside of the box, to go beyond salt, sugar, and butter as chefs. It is so easy to make food taste good with salt, sugar, and butter. It's so easy to have a relationship with food that's just convenience, like pulling into a drive-thru and rethinking how you have a relationship with food instead of just eating the food. And I think that brings us on to the Q&A, right?
Well, I think we're about out of time, but we did promise that we would respond to all the Q&A questions, so we will. And we're going to do an FAQ, and I will be sending that out to all the participants. In the time remaining, I want to share a couple of resources with folks that I have found personally valuable. If you've ever Googled whole soy foods, it's kind of frightening and scary, because it's like it's the panacea for all that ails you, or it's not. And so I had to do a deep dive these last several years, really looking at the medical literature. And there's a few things through a few sites that I think are especially good. One of them is the health effects of soy. It's a reference guide for health professionals, but I would say it's good for anyone that wants to know more about the literature. And also a great site is the Nutrition and Health website from the University of California at Davis, Department of Nutrition. There's something there for everyone, everything from little fact sheets to nutrition guides. Both of these resources provide lots of information for consumers related to specific health conditions or just soy in general, medical professionals that are looking at food as medicine versus just medicine as an option for patients, and child nutrition professionals who are struggling with how do we change the trajectory of childhood obesity in this country. My respect for child nutrition professionals as I've done this work has just increased so greatly, and I believe that soy farmers and child nutrition professionals are going to become great friends in years to come because of all that whole soy foods offer them. I would also encourage you to look at a powerful study that was released last year by the McKinsey Health Institute. The report title, and it's on our website if you want to read it, it's Adding Years to Your Life and Life to Your Years. And that kind of got my attention, being old. The McKinsey Health team summed it up by saying that this is a decisive moment in the history of human health. It's hard not to ignore a summary statement like that. And so the McKinsey researchers told us the good news. And the good news is that due to good improved health care, that we live more years than the history of this earth. We're living longer, on average 7 to 10 years longer. On the other side of that coin is because of diet-related disease, we're living with more years of disability than ever on the history of this earth. And so quality of life is declining rapidly due to diet-related diseases. It's diminishing our quality of life, our independence, and it's increasing our health problems. So the great news out of this study, there's the good, the not so good, and the great, it's that each of us has within our ability to add 6 years of high quality life to our life. And I had to dig deeper because I'm kind of a doubting Thomas with some of this stuff, but it's there. The data is there. How is that possible? I wanted to know 2 things, diet and exercise. Now, don't get discouraged. I never liked those 2 words together. But what I discovered when I went down this soy food research road is that whole soy foods provides an option for non-deprivation. Diet to me always sound like deprivation. But as we struggle in America, we need foods that have no cholesterol, that have low saturated fat, that are high in fiber, that are complete protein. I mean, that's an amazing food package right there. And I'm like some of those students, I like my sweets, but I use my soy milk and my soy sour cream, and I look at the comparative nutritional profiles, and it's astonishing. So if your interest has been tweaked today, professionally or personally, then I would encourage you to go on our website. And B&B Legacy Farms does an American style whole soy food recipe every month, the recipe of the month. You can benefit from a lot of my mistakes. I've got soy milk recipes, soy sour cream recipes. So sometimes you just use it as a component in other foods. They're not vegan. They are alpha-gal friendly, but I just hope that you find all of these resources helpful to you as you do your own research, and I would encourage you to do your own research. I would like to end by thanking all 115 plus people that are joining us today across the U.S. And if you have, one of the things I've learned is from talking to people and to listen rather than, we've done a lot of talking today, but so if you have comments or questions, I'm going to share in the chat my email address at B&B Legacy Farms, and please reach out to me. And depending on how many emails I get, it might take a little bit, but I promise you I will respond to every email, and I really appreciate that. So on behalf of the Mid-South Soybean Board and our 5 member states and the UAPTC Culinary Institute, we'd like to thank you for being a part of this field trip and this American journey together.